Good evening, everyone. On behalf of India Foundation, I welcome you all for a panel discussion on meaning and message of J&K elections. To discuss this topic of great relevance, we have a set of eminent panelists with us. May I welcome Dr. Haseeb A. Drabu, Usman Majid ji, and Aditya Raj Kaul ji, and Captain Alok Bansal to kindly come to the dais. Now, may I request Captain Alok Bansal, Director of the India Foundation, to carry forward the proceedings. Thank you, sir.
Constituencies where candidates were defeated by just a few hundred votes. In fact, we have one of such candidates to my right, Usman Majid Saab, who has been a leader, an immensely popular leader in Bandipora, who lost by just 611 votes. So what was the meaning? What was the message? Because there were multiple actors. You had National Conference emerge as a clear victor. You had PDP, which slipped down to just 3 seats. You had BJP, which emerged as a clear victor in Jammu, but it also managed to draw substantive votes in Valley. They lost the Gurez seat just by a small margin. There were, of course, many other actors who did not do well, but in terms of votes polled, did fairly well. Sajjad Loans People Conference, Altaf Bukhari's party, you had even Engineer Rashid and a number of independents who were aligned with him who came out and voted. So what was the meaning and message of this particular elections? We need to decipher, we need to think, and to discuss this, I thought it would be prudent if we can get at least some people from Jammu and Kashmir to come and discuss it here. So we have a very nice panel of speakers, and I'll request all of them to take 10 to 15 minutes so that they give their point of view as to how do they perceive the elections that were held, what the people were trying to communicate, what is the meaning, what is the message that the people have tried to convey through these elections. These issues, I think we would like you to say. And I'd request Usman Majid Saab to be the first speaker. As you know, Usman Majid Saab has a very, very illustrious career. He is actually spanned from the other side of the law, came back, joined the mainstream, became a leader. He got elected in very, very trying times. He has been minister, he has been a lawmaker, and I think even in this election, he would have won, but for a very small margin in a constituency where the third candidate won almost 7,000 to 8,000 votes. He lost by just 600 votes, which to my mind is a very, very significant thing. And he is a powerful voice as far as the entire North Kashmir is concerned. So I'll request Usman Bhai to give his views, 10 to 15 minutes.
First of all, I would thank Alok Bansal ji for giving me an opportunity to speak few words in front of this august house. You know, recently I was contesting election. I will straightway hit the topic. Recently I contested elections. I have not seen such type of election in my whole life. I have been watching elections right from 1977. That was Janata Party and NC, National Conference. The same type of tamasha I have seen this time also. You know, first of all, as far as my opinion is concerned, there was no need to go over the elections in a hurry. We could have delayed it. Yes, with due respect and honor to the Honorable Supreme Court, nobody from any politician, any bureaucrat, or that too from the government side has gone to the Supreme Court to hold the elections in J&K. They took the decision on their own. I think Government of India should have contested, because what is my feeling is there were many things to be done which we could not do. Yes, we were heading for good things. A positive change was coming in the minds of the people in Kashmir. And for that, many people, many organizations, and the government also, by and large, also responsible. You know, you have pushed us back to that thing. I must say, pre-90. The drama, the tamasha I have seen while campaigning, I'm talking of political parties, they do not left any stone unturned by abusing, by cursing government of the day, and I must say the country also. And they were taking lead over each other's. That totke type politics was introduced from our side. Our side means this side, countryside. Totke, you understand? Chote groups, small pieces, groups. I don't understand. Still, I am not understanding why they have done it. What is the need? It should have been a big power against an ideology which doesn't suit people of Jammu and Kashmir and the country. I don't know what was any deep state involved, and I'm sorry to say it like this. Those who played the role. First of all, in parliament election, if we will see, Rashid Engineer Saab's drama. What was need? I don't know what you want to prove here. Genuinely, people were they were trying to become nationalists. They want a line from here. But certainly, I think that by bringing some people who curse like this, Modi ka jo yaar hai, gadar hai, or Rashomari, और मोदी की गुंडागर्दी खत्म करनी है. I mean says, where are you giving the way for the people of Kashmir, particularly the youngsters, to become the nationalists? And by doing so, when he came into electoral fray, I think at the end of the day, Umar Saab also said, I'm sorry if I would have come to know that Rashid is contesting, I would never have contested. You can well understand what's the meaning of that sentence. We were expecting after the abrogation of Article 370 that things will set right. Because 5 to 6 years were unchanged, the minds changed, the things, and by and large, the invisible presence of Pakistan will disappear. But after the elections, I can see in these elections. No, I don't take it like that I have lost the elections because of that. No, this is my 6th election, and 5 I contested independent. Some elections I won. I was minister also during Mufti Saab's tenure. It apart. No. Winning or losing is a part of the game. But after all, Kashmir is a very sensitive subject. Kashmir is entirely a different subject, which we cannot compare with the rest of the country. There the politics is different and the dimensions of politics are different in Kashmir. My worry is after these elections, where are we heading? Yes, the turnout was high. At the time of Mr. Rashid Engineer's election, it was the resentment, the anger of youth and people of Kashmir. They voted in favor of Rashid Engineer. We say it is a victory of democracy. And then again, they saw who is the soft Indian assembly elections. They voted for NC. And this time, I don't know. I remember who has remained a very important officer in government of India and had very big political role. He has mentioned in his book, there's only one family which we trust, government of India should trust. I'm talking of deep state, involvement of deep state. It justifies like that. After that, Mr. Umar. So Kashmiris have to come via what? Via the slavery of national conference to prove that I am an Indian. Which you all have to understand. Where are we heading? And then the doubt after the elections, that is suddenly militancy it again appeared. Not in parts of Kashmir, in Jammu also. And then some killings also took place, which is also taking place still. I think they were waiting for this opportunity. I'm sorry to say it. They were waiting for this opportunity to get such type of environment so that we can do again. Pakistan can get presence mentally or invisible presence, whatever you call in Kashmir. You know, my worry is we have not sorted out issues in Kashmir, including the Kashmiri Pandits issue. And successive governments are responsible for that. Yes, we are holding elections. We are telling to the world, look what we have done. People have voted in large numbers. I remember the day after the restoration of peace and democracy. I'm talking of 96 assembly election. We met, I will not name the Prime Minister or the Home Minister or other ministers, but you can understand, 96. We told them to delay the elections for 1 year because we are going for a better this thing, better tomorrow. You know what answer we got, Alokji? No, there's a pressure from USA, there's pressure from other democracies to be restored. I don't know. Are we so weak? Are we still getting dictation from other countries also? That we are weak. Please, we will follow you this thing. When it comes to the country, we have to rule it. It's our country. And nobody can dictate us. We are not so weak. Like I saw what happened when the elections were hurriedly, these were without any preparations, without taking many aspects into consideration. Today, I'm sorry to say it, there is no nationalist what I see, what I feel in the assembly. There is only one language. That is, somebody is talking of Article 370. They are taking lead over each other. So what are we, ultimately, what have we got? Are we back to that thing? Yes, we are least by the world will do nothing. No power can, Prime Minister rightly said last time in one of the election campaigning there in state, I think in Maharashtra he said, no power on earth can grant this back, this autonomy to Jammu and Kashmir. We must all remember this. But what we are trying to do, we are centering this, we are spreading this disease to the generations and generations. Is there any space for the people, youth? You know, always I have seen the 50% has been taken care, not the 100% Indian. This has remained the policy in Delhi, successive governments. There's no dearth of nationalists in Kashmir, those who love the country. I remember in '89 what happened, one of the speech in Dr. Farooq Abdullah Saab, which he gave in Lal Chowk. That's the initial stage of militancy when the bomb blast and the kidnapping and other things were taking place. He released the first lot, those who had gone across, came with the arms and ammunition. What he said in Lal Chowk that time, that late Rajiv Gandhi has said, he has ordered to release them, the first terrorist group. I mean, still we don't have clue what has happened. Who did all this? Who politicians and political party is involved in that? Still we don't work on that. We don't see what is the root cause for that. क्या कश्मीर हमेशा ही डेड बॉडियों के इसमें रहेगा? Every time we are getting dead bodies every day from to other state and this state, that state, and we have kept everything at the helm of army and other thing. No role. Politicians are those people in the society, are they not ready to play their role? It's only on security forces. So wahi tamasha aaj has again started. You will see in coming days. भगवान ना करे, अल्लाह ना करे, हम उसमें फिर जाए 89 में. Be careful. We all have to understand. We hold elections. मुबारक हो आज के गवर्नमेंट को. I congratulate the state, government of India, But equally be careful about that. When we see only one family and no space for common Kashmiris, if we don't work on this, things will not go in a positive direction, positive way. And then I will talk of one more thing. I will talk of Jamaat Islamiyah. I have an ideological difference with them. There is no doubt. People will accept it. They know it. There are some generals are here, my friends. They also know it. This drama has taken place in 71, 72. To replace NC, God bless Mufti Saab's soul. He was instrumental in that. Friendship starts from there. If we touch their skin here, you'll find anti-India. Nothing more than in their blood, in their skin. The mind, you can understand how much polluted it is. What was the reason to bring them in elections? Why? What did we want to prove? These things we have done, which have harmed the interest of the state there. लोग ना थोड़े उसके वो हो गए, संकी हो गए. What is government of India doing? And we all were punished for that. Suddenly somebody has given an idea, Jamatis ko lao, and then people here in Delhi, they have also, the friendship has always played role in the state affairs in Jammu and Kashmir. Every time, right from 1947, which we all have to understand. It's a country of interest of the country, it's not the friendship. And playing for home. If it would have been genuine people, I don't think we could have reached to this stage where we are also concerned about the elections, after elections, sorry. We are a little bit concerned also with the present situation there. Because I'm there, I'm living there. I know we are facing this major. I know what we are facing, what problems we have there. So, for God's sake, I keep this on you. Let's hope for the best. Me, you, we all must spread this message that we must do something different. And it should not be the short-term arrangement, which is our habit. We only think of shortcuts. We have never thought of 10 years, 20 years down the line, what will be the position of that. So while it's an intellectual group in front of me, you have a role, there is no doubt. Please be loud and clear. It's not time to be dosti wagera, koi baat nahi karenge. We all have to play the role. Kashmir is a part of country, there is no doubt. If it is so, be clear. We all have to be clear about that. It should not be in a hodgepodge manner. Yes, it's like this, there is friendship, there is... And you have to differentiate clearly between the white and black. We should not give more space, no space for the grey now. Still people have love for the Hurriyat conference here in Delhi. I'm sorry, I'm frank and blunt. I don't mind if anybody gets annoyed because of my words. Still people have love for the Hurriyat conference. Oh my God, this is soft, this is hard, this is hardliner, this is soft. This is the word always they say, this is in their mouth. And trying to impress the people here in Delhi. This is absolutely wrong. Whenever there is their requirement, that time they show their back. I have seen this election, what role they have played. Maulana has played such a role, you'll not believe. Andar se phutwa diya unhone, ki it is fight against NC, it is NC versus India. This was the election slogan there. And you can understand. And it was the verdict was on the basis of religion, communal, and regional. It was a mixture of the three things. You can see there's a voice in Jammu. So I will conclude it because I will conclude it like this. Equally, you have seen, when Constituent Assembly was framed by Sheikh Abdullah, that time what happened to the people of Jammu? There was no representation from Jammu. Yes, in the Constituent Assembly, because they defeated them. There were some reasons, in one way or the other way, their forms were rejected also. Same after 70 or 76 or 71 years, same this time people of Jammu are facing. And they are talking, I came from Jammu, people are openly saying it, oh, what has happened to us, what will happen to the Dogras? This is also a matter of concern. Tomorrow there might be a demand that give it a separate state, we don't want to remain with Kashmir. Yes, in other words, generally this could be, yes, their argument is strong. So because there are 29 in assembly and without any representation in the assembly, in the government. So these things also matter. We don't want to divide state on the communal lines. But tomorrow, if vice is clear, if there are different vices, anything can happen. So please, my dear friends, those who are here, if we get time, some other time, I can speak some more about the subject, because I want to say few things also about ourselves, about what we have done, what people should know, everywhere in this country, because my friend came just now, he told me he's my hero. But it is he and me who knows it. It's Usman who, it struck my ears only, nowhere else. Not that he's going to, unnecessarily he should speak about this. But there is a voice which we have ignored till now. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. So Usmanji gave you his perspective from within Jammu and Kashmir, somebody who contested the election. And I think sometimes I feel to analyze things, you have to look at it in perspective. And I think the best person to analyze it is, we have Aditya Raj Kaul, who is actually a veteran journalist. He's a Kashmiri, yet has observed the elections from outside as well as inside. So I'll request him to give his perspective on this particular issue.
Thank you very much, Alok ji, India Foundation, for having this debate, because often we see that we have WhatsApp conversations and discussions on social media and on television, but it's important to have in-person debates and discussions to understand threadbare what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir, what's been happening in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially in the context of the recent, I would say, democratic elections that have been very successful. I see very familiar faces, Baswati ji, General Hasnain, General Pandey, General Katoch, and these people have seen Kashmir very closely and perhaps can speak better and understand better what the developments really are. But I would briefly speak on two aspects. One, I have seen Kashmir both as a Kashmiri and as a journalist. The troubled times and the last 5 years as well. I think these democratic elections haven't really been seen in the past. Yes, I also have concerns, and I will lay them out for you. From an outside perspective, from a perspective of narrative that we see often on television and in foreign universities, in foreign governments, in people who discuss Kashmir outside, I think for them, this is one of the biggest democratic exercises that has happened at least in the last decade or more in the Kashmir Valley. Some things that come out very importantly are that the ruling party in India was not victorious. They had a similar kind of performance that they had in the previous elections in 2014 in December. So there was no manipulation that happened. There was no vote rigging or EVMs being tampered with that happened. And the biggest message came out, that the national conference came out with the biggest numbers, close to I think 41 or 42. And this clearly indicated that Indian democracy is resilient. When it matters, even in an area of conflict where people have died, people have been victims of this conflict for years together, democracy can still prevail. Yes, there are concerns with that democracy where Kashmiri Pandits do not get their credit. There are many other marginalized communities that do not get credit or their rights. There's of course concerns from Jammu, where People have been protesting. They, of course, are demanding statehood as well. But at the same time, their concerns have not been met and they have been ignored for decades and decades. As Usmanji also pointed out, there's been close to 60% voting that was witnessed in the Lok Sabha elections, and again close to 60% in assembly elections. That again is unprecedented, I would say, in the last 3 decades, and from that prism, again, it's a very, very positive development. A lot needs to change in Kashmir, both from the valley perspective of mindset, and second from the perspective of how New Delhi witnesses Kashmir or has been changing things in Kashmir. When I say mindset, radicalization is the biggest concern, and the general sitting in front would understand that South Kashmir was that area where radicalization has continued. The recent numbers suggest that it's on a downward trend, but that shouldn't make us really happy, because I think radicalization, hybrid terrorism, terrorism overall is still active and has nothing to do with Article 370. Those politicians who were trying to explain to you that Article 370 will result in terrorism completely being chased away, well, that's not the reality. Article 370 certainly has nothing to do with terrorism. Secondly, this radicalization also leads to the people of Kashmir, the majority community, identifying themselves as Muslims first and Indians later. That mindset needs to change. Some people may not like what I'm saying, but these are facts. This is a reality that whenever you go for an election, the BJP certainly has no numbers. Now, I'm not saying that the BJP is a representative of Hindus, but BJP will take time to actually create inroads in the Kashmir Valley. And now to being a devil's advocate and actually telling to the central government and the agencies who look at these elections very carefully, I think the time is over when you actually handhold and use your powers to choose people and then contest elections. I think the way forward, it may take time, is to do organic elections where people, youth, people from different ideologies get the same kind of weightage, get the same kind of support and avenues across the Kashmir Valley, be it in Bandipora, be it in Anantnag, be it in Ganderbal, any of the places. And the mindset that Usman Saab also spoke about, that, the attitude of only one political party being holier than thou is not the reality. I think this time, I should give credit to Usman Saab. I think he would have been victorious with a little more effort, perhaps, a little more campaigning. He lost elections by just a few hundred votes, and there were others who lost by a few hundred votes. I think this message is very clear, with PDP only getting 3 seats, with Sajad Lone winning by merely a margin of few hundred votes, and Engineer Rashid being completely decimated in many ways, just getting 1 seat, because many had predicted. And perhaps people got excited with the elections that happened a few months ago, the Lok Sabha elections, Engineer Rashid winning by a huge margin. And perhaps people sitting in Srinagar and Kashmir, some of them in their offices, thought that if Engineer Rashid is released, that might lead to even more numbers. I think Kashmiris are smart that way. Give them that credit. They know that what kind of political engineering is happening and where that is happening. Yes, perhaps initially they did not catch it during the Lok Sabha elections, but gradually they responded with a even bigger blow, if I can say that. But I'm pretty much sure, not that I'm a political advisor to anybody, that if Engineer Rashid had contested elections from Tihar Jail, the assembly elections, he would have at least won 5 seats. And particularly in North Kashmir, but perhaps in other areas, others can perhaps say more. What we need to be mindful about is that the elections are over. But the elections were also a message where not a single terror attack took place. This is perhaps the only election in the last 3 decades where not a single casualty happened, not a single terror attack happened either in Jammu or the Kashmir Valley. Yes, there were terror attacks that happened before and after these assembly elections that are truly a wake-up call for the government, and I'm sure that the army, the J&K police in particular, and the CRPF and paramilitary are in control of the situation or having, things in place to deal with this. But what will we witness over the next 5 years or the recent few, next few months is a larger resounding propaganda against Kashmir. We will witness that at the UNSC, we will see more of the Kashmir because Pakistan has become the non-permanent member there. And from 1st January 2025, perhaps with push from China as well, they will veto something, they will bring in Kashmir in some discussions, not that it matters, but for narrative building and for propaganda and for influencer operations that will be there. One of the recent examples some of you perhaps would be knowing is the Oxford debate. I received an invite from Oxford in July this year, and they spoke to me and said that we want to discuss, and the topic is that Kashmir should be an independent state. I said, I have huge difference of opinion on the debate topic, but in the interest of democracy, I will accept it. But gradually, I came to know that this was actually a Pakistan influence operation, where people like Muzammil Ayub Thakur, who is a known terror associate, who has UAPA cases slapped against him here in Delhi. His father was well known, I think at least to the panelists, his father is very well known of doing Pakistani influence operations in UK and in the larger EU. And I immediately withdrew my, request, and I told them that I cannot attend and I cannot give legitimacy to terrorists at a time when India finally has taken a call with a decisive manner that Article 370 is no more there. Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. Nobody can even think of, changing that fact. And Kashmir is not up for a debate. Yes, I can even discuss with the Pakistani defense minister and the UK Labour MP who were also supposed to come there. But once we Indians decided to not go there, the Pakistani defense minister and the UK Labour MP also decided to not go, clearly indicating that they were clearly not interested in anybody else, but to tackle the Indian opinion, the victories or wins that we have in the recent times in Kashmir. And what are these wins? We have had almost a tricolor revolution in Kashmir. Many of my friends in Kashmir will laugh at me, but it's a reality. Did we see the tricolor flying in police stations, at Lal Chowk, at many other places? Why wasn't that there? It's happening now. Many would say that how does it matter? Isse kya fark padta hai? Janda hi to hai. But it matters. The narrative, the mindset of Kashmir needs to change. We need to work on that for months and years, and that will actually lead to real democracy, real secularism in the Kashmir Valley. ये जनरल पांडे को यहाँ पर पता है. I mean, he was there at Lal Chowk with the Northern Corps commander, and many would have said, नहीं, ये तो अपना बंदोबस्त करके आ गए, but never before have I seen that. General Hasnain has worked incredibly in Baramulla, across Kashmir, at the central level also. And it's not easy. The kind of changes that we have done with methodological planning at the diplomatic level, at the political level, at the security level is absolutely incredible. I mean, yes, we saw unfortunate terror attacks in Jammu. My heart goes out to all the victims in Gandarbar recently and in some other places in Kashmir. But if you actually study the statistics and compare these 5 years with the previous 5 years, you will see a huge difference. In the last 10 years, there's been 100% increase in tourism. And these are numbers that are out there. I mean, there are 35,000 to 40,000 foreign tourists who have visited in the last, 8 to 10 months. There's huge domestic crowd. And that actually pressurizes the government to do more. And I'm sorry that the government is not doing more. There's more hotels, better infrastructure that is required. I mean, you can't have a hotel room which is for 7,000 being sold at 25,000. I mean, that will actually take tourists away from the Kashmir Valley. So I think there needs to be some balance out there, but there needs to be more infrastructure. There's been more infrastructure. I mean, my parent company, I work at TV9 Network, is involved in constructing the Zojila Tunnel, mega engineering. But apart from that, when it comes to bridges, when it comes to roads, and might I go a little further, in Ladakh we have woken up finally in the last 5 years to 10 years, especially in the post-Galwan time, that the BRO is doing an incredible job. I mean, I visited Siachen and Eastern Ladakh very recently to make a documentary. And the kind of roads that are there, hats off to the BRO. I mean, I could get 5G at Chushul, which was unthinkable 10 years ago. I visited, in 2013, and I took about 9 hours to reach from Leh to Chushul and Pangong. And this time it was just about 4 hours or so. So I think there's a change underway, there is development underway, but we need to change as well. We need to change the way we see Kashmir, the way we see people of Kashmir. We need to also ensure that we trust the people. One thing is very clear, that even if statehood is returned, and I'm sure that it will, and it should be, that's a right to the people, right of the people. I don't know, there are political concerns. NC would want it right away. The BJP would want it perhaps in future, if ever there's a BJP government in J&K. But what really truly matters is that we trust the people, we work for the development of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and not only a particular region. You know, when a senior officer asked me months before the nullification of 370, that, we have a major concern, and we feel that there will be a rebellion within the J&K police. And my answer was very direct, and I didn't even take time to think, because I interact with a lot of police persons and officers. I said, please trust the J&K police. Please trust the Kashmiri Muslim Jawans and officers of the J&K police. There won't be a rebellion. Yes, there could be a stray incident, if ever, that has happened. But I think even the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially who are serving the J&K police, need roti, kapda, makan, better hospitals, better infrastructure, and do not want to get astray into radicalization. And that's what happened. I mean, there was some planning, etc., that was done, but there was no rebellion. There was success in every aspect of that planning. And here we are. I mean, there's every shoulder that is there to unfurl the tricolor. No politician living on Gupkar Road has changed his name till now in the last 5 years that they had said. And the new politics of Jammu and Kashmir now has to go away from the Gupkar Road also. The new politics cannot always go through Gupkar Road. I mean, I trust and I hope that the new Chief Minister, Umar Abdullah, has been giving a lot of positive statements recently. He even went to the extent of saying that, I'm not a fool to ask the BJP for Article 370. I think he's a pragmatic person. He has a growing realization that Article 370 is a thing of the past. You need to speak on concrete issues, and that's what matters. I won't even go to the PDP. We know how aggressive they have been. I'm not sure if they've learned their lessons and how they will take forward their governance and their politics. God bless them. But I think this era of competitive separatism and this cottage industry of separatism is completely over. There would be some people from Kashmir advising the Intelligence Bureau, advising the government of India that, we will tell you how to deal with the situation. I think the Intelligence Bureau should give it a break. Don't blindly trust people. I think the might of the Constitution of India and the government of India has to be there. And if ever there is anybody who picks up a gun again, picks up a stone again, there needs to be consequences. It's simple. There will be consequences in Gujarat, there will be consequences in New Delhi, and the same consequences will be in Jammu and Kashmir. And there will be never ever a special status that will be given to anybody in Jammu and Kashmir. They are as equal as General Hasnain, as respected guests who are sitting here from any part of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aditya ji. So we had a perspective from inside, from a participant in the election, from somebody who's observing it from outside. And now we have somebody who's both an insider and an outsider, who has been a minister in the governments earlier, did not participate in this election and has been observing it. So he's both an insider. We have Mr. Haseeb Drabu, former finance minister of Jammu and Kashmir, chairman of the J&K branch. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Allow me the liberty of being a contrarian today. We have heard good stories. Everything is nice. Good stuff, good development, wonderful politics. What more do we need in Kashmir? but I still haven't figured out what is the meaning and message of JK elections. The way we're talking about this today, it would appear that there's only one meaning and one message from JNK, which is not correct. There are multiple messages, there are multiple meanings, there are multiple realities of Kashmir. You can choose the one you want to choose. It's a Rashomonian reality today, as it always has been in Kashmir. It depends on the perspective that you hold, and everything else is retrofitted. Facts are at a premium. Yes, there is no denying the fact. There's a good election, well participated. Certainly not the highest number of polls percentage. Certainly not by a long way. We had better percentages in the 70s. We had better percentages in the 80s. Good election, for sure. Well participated, not rigged, and people have voted. And voted with their feet. Now, the same thing is interpreted as an endorsement of abrogation of 370, and the same thing is interpreted as a resentment against the abrogation of Article 370. Choose your narrative. I don't think we are in a position now to fight these battles of who is right and who is wrong. We have lived in misery for the last 35 years. There has to be some consideration for what the people of J&K are going through. Spare me these great narratives of wonderful things that have happened post 370 or before. Be it the economy, on every single social parameter, J&K was better off than the rest of India. Whether it was literacy, whether it was social development, whether it was rates of growth, choose every single number. So let's not even go there. First, let's talk about what happened before the elections. There was a delimitation, unprecedented, under an act which doesn't allow for delimitation. It should have been under the People's Representation Act of India. It was not done under that. It was done under the Reorganization Act. And the only place where it was done, when there is a freeze on delimitation. Why was it done only for J&K? What was the need and what was the necessity? Elections are not only about voting. Elections are also about the conditions that you create for people to vote. What happened in the delimitation? There was gerrymandering of constituencies right across the Chenab Valley. There was gerrymandering of constituencies within the valley. Would not have made a difference because any which ways you splice the constituencies, you'll still have a Muslim majority. But in case of Chenab, it did. How is it that the powers of the Election Commission were overruled to decide that you will add 9 seats or 10 seats? Who decided that? On what basis? Should it not have been left to the Election Commission to decide how many seats they will do? And also how many seats will go to Jammu and how many seats will go to Kashmir? There is a proper institutional mechanism laid out in the Constitution of India, not coming from any separatist book, that there is a mandate for an election commission. It has to be autonomous. It will decide on certain things. Why was that not followed? Is that not tantamount to constraining the elections? Rigging them, if you want to call it that? You created a situation in which it was structurally constrained to deliver a result, which, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side you're on, because it's a highly polarized society today, you will work that out. If you create a situation whereby the results will be structurally constrained to deliver a particular type of a result. Only this time, as Aditya pointed out, Kashmiris voted wisely. But was it wise enough? What is the main message that I take away from it? So I'm not going to go into generic messages. The first message comes to me is that it's a religious and a regional rupture, which reflects the political fault lines of Kashmir, J&K politics today. It's a very clear divide. Till now, perhaps 2014 was an indicator of it. Kashmir politics was driven by identity. And you had pan-state parties like National Conference. Now it's a proper divide. It's a communal divide. As simple as that. Face it. Jammu has voted one way, Kashmir has voted one way. But within Jammu, look at what is happening. Jammu is not one monolithic entity, geographical area which is dominated and has a population of only Hindus. No. It has Chenab Valley, it has Pir Panchal, it has Tawi Basin. In Pir Panchal, what happened? BJP did not win a single seat. This is the first election which has not been fought on ideology but on religion. And that's a concern. To my mind, the biggest message coming out of this election is you're not very far from having to split the state into two, or a UT as you may call it, a bifurcation. When the August 2019 initiative was taken of abrogation, there was a bifurcation of the state. I thought it would have been simpler to trifurcate the state, because it's an unnatural state. It's a state that has, let's say, between Jammu and Kashmir, there is nothing that's common. Language is different, geography is different, ethnicity is different, culture is different, and now politics is different. What was holding the state together was the politics of the state, and that has been impaired today. I don't know why, and I think somewhere I saw Usman also speak about it. I think even Aditya referred to it. And I hear it all the time. I am no big supporter of National Conference. All my life, I have written against them. But what is the need to do NC bashing today? The whole dynasts who destroyed Kashmir narrative that was created hasn't held. People have voted, and voted in a fair election, which is what all of us agree. And they have come to power. Now, why should you find these excuses that this family, then Delhi decides this? Whatever Delhi may have decided, we have now seen in this election that Delhi put 20 small outfits, which he called the two-day thing. Not a single one of them has survived the election. People like Muzaffar Beg have lost their deposit. Sajjad loan won by some little margins. Where are the Altaf Bukharis of the world? They all lost, fell by the wayside. PDP, why are you talking about PDP? It was decimated before the election. The entire party was split. I was a minister of that party. I did an agenda of alliance with the BJP. Out of 10 members of the cabinet, 8 left. So, and if she won, if PDP under Mehbooba Mufti won 3 seats, that's a wonder. I didn't expect them to win a single seat. There's nobody who could have contested. I think 2 of those seats are possibly electoral arithmetic and 1 is a genuine vote. Why do you need a second party now? You see, the creation of PDP was to counter the dominance of NC. Now you have a robust party in BJP in Jammu. Why do you need a second party? What is the game being played? The game that's being played is you consolidate Jammu into one party and have a fragmentation of voters in the valley so that you will never have a government, which is a valley-based government. As simple as that. Why do I even need a second party in the valley? What are valley-centric parties doing? They have the same ideology. Everybody wants 370 back, restoration. Whether it is possible or not is a separate matter. We don't get into it. For 70 years, BJP tried, promised in every single manifesto that they will abrogate 370. It took them 70 years. They did it. Legitimately, illegitimately, constitutionally, not doesn't matter. People have a right to fight electorally. There are aspirations. Why should that not get factored in? Why should that be seen as separatism? It's a legitimate. India was an asymmetric federation, which still has different layers of autonomy for different states. Now it's a question which needs to be debated. Should India follow that route, or should India follow a different route? A more federal route, a more diverse route, a more plural route, or a unitary state, which doesn't even need states. But the real damage and the real messages that come through are very different. 370 is optics. A resolution was passed. There is no legal force to the resolution, as the Supreme Court said in a judgment in 2020, that there is no force of law on a resolution passed by an assembly when the parliament has had its say, especially after it has gone for judicial scrutiny, which it has, approved by the Supreme Court. But it is a political system. You want to do messaging. Nothing wrong with that. But what are the core issues? Again, I go back to these messages. The message of the election is not coming through from what happened on the day of voting. Yes, I agree. There was no attacks, nothing. You have created a parallel system of district assemblies, which doesn't exist anywhere in India. What are these DDCs? How are they being elected on an adult franchise? It's not provided for in the Constitution of India. What have you done? You have this assembly, which is now being created after whatever time, and under it there are these 28 assemblies who are voted by the same people. I was a member of the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir from 2015 to 2018, from a constituency called Rajpura. Today there are 14 DDC members there. So I wrote long back that it's a senior MLA, senior punch and junior MLA. Today the MLA of Rajpura, who is from National Conference, shares his powers with 14 people. That is the destruction of democracy. Why is that not happening in UP? How is it that there's no DDC in Gujarat? You have disempowered the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir not by 370, but by creating structures that are violative of the Constitution of India. Nobody's talking about it. So let us leave alone these messages that one talks about in the election, on the day of the election, and the results of the election. It was a very structured operation, brilliantly done. There's no question about it. Despite not fielding a candidate in the parliamentary elections, BJP was setting the narrative in J&K as it is done today. Even as we speak, BJP has forced Congress to clarify its position on abrogation of 370. They have the state exactly where they want. Very good for them. And why? What was the difference? People talk about abrogation 370. What was there to abrogate? Please tell me that. What was there to abrogate? What had been left of it? 1962, Gulzarlal Nanda says in the Parliament of India that 370 is all over. Was he lying? You had a constitution of Jammu and Kashmir which could not be amended. You had residuary powers of J&K which were taken away. You had an elected head of state who was replaced. And all this happens in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. So what was there that was being abrogated? It's something that is about setting narratives. Yes, BJP did it brilliantly well. And they made more capital, political capital, out of abrogation of 370 in the rest of the country than in J&K. Every single election, whether it's Maharashtra, or it is Karnataka, or it is Haryana, what is the main issue? हमने जो कहा वो किया. Today, Kashmir is a metaphor for BJP, for a strong government, for a decisive government, for having shown Kashmiris their place. Very good. So be it. But that's how we need to understand these. This is not about a straightforward state election. That election was very well designed. Institutionally, it was disempowered. Does the assembly of J&K have the same powers that any other assembly has? Forget the UT bit. And I will disagree with Aditya. Let me tell you here and now, there is no statehood that's going to come for the next 5 years. Why will there be any statehood? And do you realize it's not that you wake up one day and say, all right, now I convert J&K into a state. No, you have to unwind it. Do you realize how many laws, statutes, acts have been changed? The administrative structure has been changed. The civil services have been changed. There is no longer a J.K. Carter. One of them is sitting here. It's an Agbut Carter now. It will have to be unwound over a number of years, depending on how situation evolves. It's not a thing that the President of India wakes up one day and does it. So let's not see it from that perspective. I think we need to understand that there are multiple realities, and we need to see each of them and see how that impacts the situation going forward in J&K. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haseeb Saab. Very interesting observations, multiple realities, multiple meanings, multiple messages. I'm not really very sure whether there was a complete religious or regional rupture in this particular elections. In fact, if you compare it with 2014, NC got fair amount of seats in Jammu. In fact, from the minority community as well. In fact, at least in 2 or 3 seats, BJP actually came very close to winning in Valley. Gurez was, for that matter, one. Even in Shopian also it got a fair amount of votes. And in fact, religious and regional rupture has always existed actually in Jammu and Kashmir for a very, very long time. Fortunately or unfortunately, we had only one party at that point of time, NC, which was actually dominating. And if anybody had to come to power, it had to align itself with NC. So I think whether in Jammu or Kashmir, people who were looking for power actually came to NC. Again, that's just a viewpoint. Whether ideology, but religion, we again have to look at it. I think, is devolution of power a murder of democracy? Not to my mind. I think ideally a grassroots level devolution of power is essential. In fact, while DDC may be a unique institution in J&K, but Panchayati Raj was missing in J&K for a very long time. They were actually weakened. They had no financial power, actually. The real... Again, just a viewpoint. We'll open it up for debate. I'm sure there'll be different views, different issues. And I think the central government has given a commitment to Supreme Court and to the people that statehood will be returned. When, of course, the due process would probably be adhered to. How it happens, when it happens, one will have to see. I'm sure this would happen. How much time does it take is debatable. I think will depend. I don't think so there is any NC bashing going on right now. In fact, for I think every statement that comes against NC, I think there are 2 coming praising the NC and the Omar's pragmatism, I think. So I see more statements praising his pragmatism than criticizing him. I'm really not sure. Maybe I see a very selected section of the media. Well, with that we open it up. And in fact, as always, I'll give the first word to the President of India Habitat Center, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee.
Thank you very much, Alok ji. This is the first time that I have participated in a IHC India Foundation discussion, which has left me profoundly disturbed. So let me make a few comments and ask for some clarifications. First of all, on abrogation of Article 370, the last speaker asked, perhaps rhetorically, perhaps emotionally, what was left in Article 370? As a displaced Bengali from what was then undivided Bengal, I would say that what was left in Article 370 was that the Union of India, as a federation of states, had one particular state with a different status, where people living in other parts of India did not have the same rights within that state as the people living in that state for various reasons. And when Article 370 was first adopted, it was intended to be a temporary measure. So actually, it was those who ruled over India in the early years of independence who should have taken a decision on abrogating Article 370 and making J&K genuinely a complete part of India, because for people like us living in Delhi, all we want from J&K after these elections and even before is the development narrative. We want J&K to be fully developed ahead of other states if possible, to have tourism, to make the people of the valley and Jammu satisfied with the development narrative. The other issue is what Aditya pointed out, and I congratulate him for it, is the fact that I have no doubt that one day it will be uh, a state. I don't think it will be divided on communal lines. And I don't think the fact that people in Jammu and Kashmir, according to some, voted with their religious identity is something that is confined to only Jammu and Kashmir. People vote for their religious identity when they see that that is what will get them what they want. People vote for national identity when they have other reasons. So I don't think that Jammu and Kashmir is at all different from the rest of India when it is said, perhaps rightly, perhaps wrongly, that this was an election which was where the vote took place only on religious lines. In other words, for me, coming from undivided Bengal, on communal lines. I don't think it was a communal election. If it had been a communal election, there would definitely have been violence. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is GB Bagai. I'm only concerned with the security aspect. Why has things been so peaceful now, it seems, in J&K? Is it because of improved infrastructure? Or is it because of softer approach that the army has taken? Because General Isnan, when he was there in command, he told me that the army is now treating the civilians in a much more gentler manner. Is that the reason? And what is motivating the youth now? There seems to be no stone pelting and all. So what has changed? Is it just the infrastructure or is it something else? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Akif from Kashmir and I have 2 points regarding this discussion. And my first point is it's actually the question towards Mr. Drabu Saab. As you said that it was an like a communal election in Kashmir, but I don't agree with it because no doubt that BJP has used very iron hands to curb the situation, but it's like in the Modi regime, the situation was totally different. The infiltration was down, no hartals, no killings, nothing at all. Had ever any government, whether National Conference and PDP, used to curb all that situations from last a decade? No. The answer is totally no. And another is the vocal minority is actually very politically wise in Kashmir. But what about the silent majority? Can I say that National Conference was actually manipulating the people who were who were like the, I can't say the dumb word, but as a, I it would be appropriate to say the layman's, because they were, I had witnessed one of his address. They were like, "We will fight for 370," and ironically, it's interesting that after the elections, after the result, they were like, no, I can't fool Jammu and Kashmir people. It will be like a foolish thing to say that I will bring back 370. Let me think about that. But the question is, if it was not like that, why you was addressing people and saying that I will fight for 370? Wasn't it that they were actually beeful with the silent majority? And Mr. Drabu Saab, People's Democratic Party as well as National Conference or any other regional party, I don't think from last decade they were able to curb the situations how the Modi regime has did from last 10 years. Thank you so much.
I'll now to respond in the reverse order, starting with Mr. Haseeb Drabu, then Aditya, and then. Yeah, sorry.
I said my name is
You
Haseeb
could
Drabu,
decide on what to
and,
respond to. You need not
yeah, yeah.
respond to all the things. It's
So,
left to you.
yeah, the last point that you made, that Kashmir is not unique in having voted for religious things, is actually the tragedy. Because when Kashmir joined India, it was not on religion, like everybody else, including Bengal. So it is quite tragic that a state that had voted voluntarily under leadership, which is today being blamed, of National Conference, to join the Indian Union, was the only one to do so on the principles that violated the principles of partition, which was religion. So a Muslim majority state joined India. Now, if that state has gone to vote on religious lines, then it's a very big tragedy, point number one. Two, there is no development narrative in 370. I'm an economist. I've spent 30 years of my life working on Kashmir economy. I will send you documents after documents. On every single indicator, we were better than Gujarat. Every single indicator, without exception. And data not produced by the Statistical Organization of Jammu and Kashmir, but by the NAS, National Accounts Statistics of India. I will share that with you. I'll take your email so that I can convince you of that. So there's no developmental narrative. As regards 370, when I said that what is there to abrogate, there are states right now where you and I cannot buy land. There are states now where you and I cannot travel without a permit, which is what J&K had. It was not unique. Along with 370, there was 371A, 371B, and C, and so on, which continue to be there. So India remains an asymmetric federation. It has been done only in the case of J&K that this was removed. The point I was trying to make was every single law and constitutional act applied to J&K, which was done, and I'm not saying this, it was said by the Home Minister of India in 1962 that we have done away with this. Why 370 came into being? It was never a part of Kashmir. It was not negotiated for J&K. Never. It was there in the Government of India Act of 1918 to rule the province, and Government of India Act 1935. Exactly that was replicated here. So there's nothing unique about it. Third, where the element came in was Article 35A, which wasn't there for anybody else, which was the real story of having said that has to be removed. So that part was the only one. 370 had nothing to do with it. I am not sure of what the gentleman there was asking me about in terms of infrastructure development and stuff. Yes, there are styles of governance. Congress and others like the Janata Dal, the NDA, the UPA, whatever they were, had a Kashmir policy. BJP has a different policy. I have said this many times over, that they have done what they have done with legitimate powers. And they have said this for 50 years that we want to abrogate it. So there's nothing against Modi or not Modi. It's a policy that was done. I think the interesting part of the BJP policy, which I saw as an analyst, was Congress used to run J&K through the security prism or through the intelligence, or what Usman called the deep state. BJP moved away from that and ran the Kashmir policy with a political agenda and a political firmness. And they lived with it perfectly fine. There's absolutely no grudge with it. Where I have said this many times, and that is how I would conclude, is the continuance of Article 370 was the biggest fraud perpetuated by the Congress on the people of J&K. And the abrogation of 370 was the biggest beguilement on the people of India. This is my bottom line. Nothing changed. Try and buy land today. Not possible. And what investment has gone there? Let's look at it that way, no? Show me 1 rupee investment which has come. I have myself ferried people from Bangalore, from Maharashtra, from where Bombay, please invest. I have taken people like Azim Premji, Narayan Murthy, Anand Mahindras of the world saying, please invest. Not a single rupee invested in 50 years. Why? What was the problem? If 370 was the problem, then there should have been tons and tons of money going in. Has one corporate gone to the rest of the country? And what are we talking about? 1960s. Birlas invested in Jammu, Chenab Textile Mill, still the largest one. If there were restrictions on investments in Kashmir, why? How did it happen in 1961? 62? Taj Hotels had a hotel in Srinagar. Oberois were there. What wasn't there? Abhi aap bata rahe hain ki there was no Panchayati Raj in J&K. 1946, under Maharaja Hari Singh's rule, enacted. 1989, considered to be the most radical Panchayati Raj, done by people who have done academic work on it. That's not the issue. One of the things is we try to ignore what was there. Please spend some time on trying to see what was the biggest hurt that one has is how J&K was the first state in the world where a democratically elected government instituted land reforms, the most radical land reforms anywhere in India, anywhere in the world. Kerala happened under the communist regime later. You will be scared, you will find it difficult to find one book on land reforms in Jammu and Kashmir. There are tomes and tomes written on Kerala, because you don't recognize the realities of that. But longer, there are others who will have to respond.
You know, Mr. Drabu would like you to believe that the Indian state was only constituted and carved out by the British in 1947. But for his information, I'll tell him that the Indian nation that we call Bharat had existed for 5,000 years. And Jammu and Kashmir especially has been the fountainhead, has been the cultural and philosophical fountainhead of India. So it's not just in the context of 1947 or what has happened after that. And you know, on a lighter note, I'll tell you why Kashmiris have Indian genes. You know, there's a reservation policy that we have in India. And on the front page, it's written it's temporary. It should have gone decades and decades ago. Similarly, on Article 370, it's written on the front page that it is temporary. खून तो एक ही है, जीन्स तो एक ही हैं, तो पॉलिटिक्स और हरकतें भी एक ही होंगी. ये पूरी तरीके से प्रूव हो जाता है. दूसरा, on the, I won't get into politics much, I don't cover politics, but on the security aspect, I'll tell you, it was a very good question. But साहब, सीन ये हुआ है कि आर्मी भी सेम है, पुलिस भी सेम है, CRPF भी सेम है. जम्मू कश्मीर में बदला क्या है? पॉलिटिकल विल बदली है. एक जो हम कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस वहां नहीं देखते थे, वो अब धीरे धीरे देखने लगे हैं. और अभी भी पूरी तरीके से नहीं दिखते हैं. अभी भी वो मैनिपुलेशन, थोड़ा सा वो इको सिस्टम, इको चैम्बर, वो चलता रहता है. आप क्या देखते थे? यू यूज्ड टू सी एंड विटनेस इन कश्मीर दैट यासीन मलिक used to come. He used to kill Kashmiri Pandits. And many don't know, for your information, he has killed Kashmiri Muslim women also. When he killed those Air Force men, there were 2 Kashmiri Muslim women also there. And what are the consequences that Yasin Malik has? He is given all the money by the same people that are named here on the dais. He is not just receiving money from the other side. He is receiving money, resources, everything possible here. He is getting 5-star hotel accommodation. He's getting money for hospitals, any medical checkups, everything possible. And the case that he has against him of killing 4 Indian Air Force men, leave alone Kashmiri Pandits, forget Kashmiri Pandits, of killing Indian forces, it's pending for 35 years. What are you talking about? I mean, the change now today is that even though, you know, I criticize the government कि आपने ये special Tata court में तो यासीन मलिक के खिलाफ कोई action नहीं लिया. But there's a 2017 terror hawala case where Yasin Malik has got life imprisonment, and you can perhaps now believe that he will die in Tihar jail. He may not get, you know, फांसी शायद नहीं हो, but he will die in Tihar jail. There's no question of him coming out. Today, what we see is that if there is a stone pelter who comes out, I haven't seen in the last 5 years, yes, there were democratic protests that happened after 370. I was in Kashmir. I witnessed it. Many people have not reported it, not told you, but there were protests that happened. But if you pick up the gun, if you pick up a stone, there will be consequences, as there would be in North Delhi where riots are happening. Hindus, Muslim, anybody who is picking up a gun or a stone against law enforcement authorities, there would be consequences. It's as simple as that. उसमें ये नहीं होगा कि पीडीपी के कोई फोन करेगा, अरे छोड़ दीजिए, स्टोन पेल्टर तो है अनंतनाग का, अरे जे&के बैंक में रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर उसको रिक्रूट कर लेते हैं. This used to happen. Not anymore. I mean, Jamaat Islami elements were recruited in government of India. द्राबू साहब से आप पूछिए कि महबूबा मुफ्ती जी ने क्या किया जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में. स्टोन पेल्टर्स वर गिवन फ्री हैंड, आप चलिए जो करिए. जमात इस्लामी वाज गिवन अ फ्री हैंड, एंड रादर you had an FIR against Major Aditya, who was trying to peacefully move out, and there was an attack on his life and his men, and he fired. That case went to Supreme Court of India, and finally justice prevailed. So the consequences था, जो consequences होने चाहिए थे, that are visible in the rest of the country, that were not visible in Jammu and Kashmir. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, the might of the state, the might of the Constitution of India, the might of the law of the land needs to prevail there. There are terror hawala cases, many arrests have happened, etc. But I still believe there's much more to be done. I think a panelist or the moderator mentioned Kashmiri Pandits. I think Usman Saab mentioned. कहाँ कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए कुछ किया? मैंने तो बोलना ही छोड़ दिया है. I don't even tweet about it. You know, nobody is interested in the return of Kashmiri Pandit. BJP तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं है. I mean, BJP would say that we want, but I think the senior leadership of the BJP believes that Kashmiri Pandits are Congress supporters. ये simple सी बात है. Probably that's wrong. I see most of the community members who are around me who are completely BJP supporters. But there is a belief कि ये कांग्रेसी हैं, कांग्रेस सपोर्टर हैं, इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम से ये जो वो कोटरी था ये चल रहा है. I think this is a wrong perception to have. In a democracy, everybody has a right to support whatever ideology you want to. But I think even if Kashmiri Pandits are Congress supporters, will you take away the right of justice from them? Will you take away the right of return to their homeland from them? And जो भी कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए कुछ एक चीज़ हुई है, वो 6,000 नौकरियां जो आप बार बार कहते हैं, वो तो मनमोहन सिंह के टाइम पे हुई हैं, जब डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह वहाँ पर थे, और उसी को अब बोला जा रहा है कि आप करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. I think I'll be very honest, nobody in Kashmir today wants Kashmiri Pandits to return. These are gimmicks कि आप हमारे जिस्म का अंग हैं, आप हमारा पार्ट हैं, हम तो आपके बिना जी नहीं सकते. I think there are more efforts that are required for reconciliation, but that reconciliation will only happen when there is justice and there is step and semblance that is brought by the government and by the people, by the politicians of Jammu and Kashmir. और आखिरी में मैं एक एनेक्डोट आपको देता हूँ कि 370 जब हुआ उसके 3 दिन के बाद मैं पुलवामा गया. And in Pulwama, there's a village called Balhama, which is predominantly a Shia village. और बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग हुआ, मैंने सोचा भी नहीं था, मैं वो शिया और सुन्नी के प्रिज्म से भी सोच नहीं रहा था वहाँ पे. I interviewed a small young boy who was a lawyer. And after the interview, he told me that, can I request you not to, telecast this interview? And I said, क्यों? He said, देखिए आप तो पंडित यहाँ से चले गए, हमको तो यहाँ जीना है ना. तो I said, why are you saying this? He said, नहीं, हम यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं, ये इलाका जो है गिरा पड़ा है पुलवामा में. So please think. I did not telecast this, but you could see fear in his voice, even though he gave me a very brave interview just minutes before that. I think this is also a reality of Kashmir that we need to speak about. Thank you.
I'll say a few words. I'll answer his question, Akib's question. Just quickly. I will tell you one thing. यही तो एक मुसीबत है. इक़दार में रह के कुछ बात, इक़दार से बाहर रह के कुछ और बात. द्राबू साहब को थोड़ा सा प्यार भी आ गया एजेंसी पे, तो आई एम रियली हैप्पी. तो उसी वजह से इस भी उन्होंने वही ड्रामा किया which they have been doing for donkey's years. Why Kashmiri people, youngsters pick up gun? Go to the history and find out who are responsible, which political party is responsible. I know it is mentioned in the Constitution of India that Article 370 is a temporary. It is transitory. It can be any time. It can be removed. तो क्या हुआ फिर? Did they ever educate the people of Kashmir? कि आपको ये मुसीबत एक दिन गिरेगी. उन्होंने मुसीबत बना के यहाँ पहुँचा, इसको इतना पहाड़ बनाया. जब आर्टिकल 370 गया, every Kashmiri got a night. There is no doubt. They were so अंदर अंदर से कुछ नहीं कर पाए. लेकिन who is to be blamed for this? इस इलेक्शन में सबसे बड़ा ड्रामा उन्होंने यही किया कि हम आपकी इज्जत को वापस दिलाएंगे, 370 को वापस दिलाएंगे. कहीं उन्हें कहा कि राशुमारी करेंगे. राशुमारी, यू अंडरस्टैंड? प्लेबिसिट. कोई कुछ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी प्लेबिसिट, यस, रेफरेंडम. इस इलेक्शन में तभी ना, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम टॉकिंग इन कश्मीर, उर्दू, सॉरी, हिंदी. इसीलिए उन्होंने ये तक बातें की है. ये कम्युनल नहीं बनाया इस इलेक्शन को. क्या बनाया? लुक एट द लाइन विच मिस्टर दाबू साहब आल्सो सेड, या आदित्य जी, आप देखें ना किस साइड से क्या हुआ. ये जो एक ज़माने में डिक्शन प्लान की हम बात करते थे, उस लाइन को देखो ना, वहाँ से वर्डिक्ट क्या आया और फिर नीचे यहाँ वर्डिक्ट क्या आया. इसको उन्होंने उस हाइट पे ले लिया है, उस जगह पे ले लिया है कि इट वाज वॉर बिटवीन एनसी एंड बिटवीन इंडिया. तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूँ इन चीज़ पे देखो. दूसरी बात आपकी है, रिट ऑफ द स्टेट वाज मिसिंग टिल 2014. I had met successive prime ministers and home minister, and me and my friends, those ideology के या कुछ हमारे आपस में understanding, we always used to tell them, please don't keep these things at the helm of regional forces only. Listen to them, but we have to take measures to improve the situation in Kashmir. They did it. No stone pelting. Children are going school. Everything is normal looking. Yeah, militancy is not a threat to us. It's not we don't have a military threat for this. Then it will have a full-fledged war. 4, 5, 10 militant आ गए, that hardly is a problem. It happened in other parts of the country where we can see criminal acts more dangerous than Kashmir. We should not be worried about that. People should come and visit the place, go and come. Ownership दिखानी चाहिए. लेकिन एक बात से मैं करता हूँ, आज तक कुछ भी इन्वेस्टमेंट जम्मू कश्मीर के अंदर नहीं हुई है, खासकर कश्मीर के अंदर. आई एग्री विद यू. सिर्फ आए गए निकल गए. और लेकिन I fully agree with you, because of the present regime in Delhi, things have improved. I am not a BJP man. I am not ideologically, maybe I have differences, but they did it. Thank you so much.
I know there are a lot of people who are wanting to ask questions, but we have finished the time. We'll have a tea after this. You will have time to interact with the speakers and do that. Before I request the President India Habitat Center to come and felicitate the speakers, just think that every month we do this, and on 10th of December we are going to discuss. We have one book discussion and one general discussion every month. And on 10th of December, we are going to discuss William Dalrymple's book, The Golden Road. So I'll request all of you to kindly come and join us. And once again, really grateful to all of you for coming out in this toxic atmosphere and braving the... Toxic atmosphere outside the room. Outside the room. I'm not talking about inside the room. I'll just request Dr. Pawan to kindly carry out the felicitation and request President.
As we wind up with this event, may I request Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, President of India Habitat Center, to kindly come and felicitate our speakers. Sir.
You need a photo opportunity. That's has. Aditya, please. Just one photo.
I would like to thank India Foundation, India Habitat Center, our speakers, and most importantly, the audience who have come to enjoy this event. And now we request you to have tea, coffee, which is outside. Thank you.